online. So I will call the meeting to order. And the first order, or the first objective on the agenda are the minutes, if you guys have had a chance to look through them. And that's from late March. And let me know if they're acceptable. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
We have a couple of orders of business before we ask you for your report.
Sure.
So just be a couple more minutes. I'll give you guys another minute to just peruse it so we can get the meeting underway. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. How are you doing, Bob?
Okay.
Yeah? Yes? Okay. Can we accept the minutes?
Minutes accepted.
Seconded? Bob, can you second the accept?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right, thank you. The financials, I need to clarify. It seems that there's misunderstanding about what that means. Really, there is no financial statement kept by the West Neck Water District. There is only the bank statements that come to us. So the bank statements, which were always distributed to the board only previously, and are now distributed to me, and I will let you know about how much money we have in our Chase account, which takes care of our day-to-day operations. We currently have $2,777.56. In our class account, which is really our funding for the infrastructure, the balance is, and this is of June 30th, from June 30th, $144,118.20. Again, this is to pay for the infrastructure. And we haven't made a payment for 2024 yet, so we're assuming that will come in fairly soon. Actually, I don't really know when that comes in. Did that come in? I don't think it did, not for 2024. I'll contact or we'll ask Joe, or actually, he doesn't know, I'll contact the accounting department, find out when that's coming in, but we're in a very healthy place, with 144,000. It remains in the class account. where the interest rate is a little bit higher than the other account. And so we get to earn income on it. In fact, for the income earned year to date, it was $2,960. So the longer we're able to hold on to that money, the better it is ultimately for us, so we don't have to raise rates, which is our biggest concern. Okay, that's brings us to you, Joe, Mr. Pokorny, for the report from Suffolk County Water Authority. And as you see from the agenda, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in this order, but this is topically what I'd like to have you discuss.
Sure.
So the status of the DASNY grant. And good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. Happy summer. So the DASNY grant, I'm pretty sure we've received the check from DASNY because my finance department has been talking with me over the past couple of weeks. They had to resubmit at one point. DASNY had some questions about the way they submitted, but they resubmitted, and I spoke to Stephanie in the finance department a couple of weeks ago about it, and she said the check was going to be coming early in July. I believe we've got it because she also just recently sent me a revised amortization schedule. So to me, that indicates that she's already expecting a check and she's already preparing to change the surcharge. So I can send you that amortization schedule after this meeting so you can take a look at it.
Thank you, yes.
But the impact is obviously that's going to mean that your surcharge is going to go down.
Right.
And I think your surcharge was, let me just see if I can bring it up here. She sent it to me a week or so ago. I think your surcharge was in the $90,000 range per year, right? 91,000. And I think after the grant is integrated and she recalculated the amortization schedule, it looks like the payment is now going to be in the $61,900 range. It's $61,892.38. But again, I'll send you a copy of the revised amortization schedule.
Okay. That would be great.
So, but it's all good news, basically. So you got $1 million, you've got $500,000 reduced from the $1.7 million contractual liability you had for the capital improvements that we've made.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Yep.
So you guys can decide what you want to do. If you want to lower rates or you want to accelerate the payment, whatever you want to do, you have options, and we'll work with you no matter what you want to do. Right now, we're just assuming that we're just going to lower the surcharge, and I think that's how Stephanie will pursue it with you.
What do you think, Amber?
What we want to do is take that amortization schedule and balance plus the most recent bill from Suffolk County Water Authority and just look at how long those funds will last.
Right.
Given different scenarios. So you could, if you lower rates, it'll run out faster, that 144,000, or like just keep the rates the same longer. So
Right.
we'll come up, you and I can work together and along with Joe and his team, and then come back to the board next meeting and have a couple presentations for the board to make a presentation.
Good. Dude.
And I would ask, I know that you mentioned it, Lisa, but I would ask that you do whatever you can do to make that payment that is still outstanding.
Yes.
I would appreciate that.
I have been communicating with Stephanie on that.
Yeah,
So I will talk to her again when the meeting's over. She had adjustments that needed to be made to a couple of the accounts.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those adjustments yet, so I'll ask her to send them to me, or, we can look them over,
Sure.
and then we can pay that bill.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. The next item on your agenda was the generator. So the generator is in service now. The electric service is all reconfigured as we had said we were going to do, so that we can run the well simultaneously. And now if there is a power failure, the entire station and all the wells are backed up if there is a power failure. So the generator is basically in service and ready to go.
Right? And we haven't had to use it.
As far as I know, I mean, I don't keep track of when the power goes out and it goes on, so.
It did go out momentarily a while ago, but I didn't
Yeah, it's possible. Yep.
experience any cessation of service.
Yeah.
So that's
So that's
complete.
good news. Yeah, that's good news because that's always been something that concerned me because we didn't have complete backup of the station
Right.
should we lose power. And now we got a brand new generator that should be nice and reliable. And like I said,
Terrific.
the good news is that it powers everything up, not just one well.
Okay, we had sent for an assessment of that list of chemicals that was submitted by the Shelter Island Golf Course. A customer had asked about those chemicals and whether they were going to show up in our water supply. And I believe that Joe Fenora sent it to you and you were going to send it to your department. So have you gotten any results about that?
Yeah, so I gave that to our laboratory director, Tom Schneider. And incidentally, Tom was really happy to get that because we don't normally get that from golf courses. They don't tell us what they're applying. So
Took us a
we
couple of
really
years.
we appreciate the transparency and the fact that the golf course was willing to provide that. Tom went through the whole thing. His comment was that they're all compounds that we're aware of. A lot of them are low-level fungicides and whatnot that have low toxicity. But regardless, the testing methods that we use look for all of those. And the good news is that we're negative for all of them.
Mhm.
And he said that not just here, but on the mainland, we don't see any of those fungicides or pesticides either. So I guess that's kind of good news. But it was great for him to see the list because again, it's nice to know what to look out for, so to speak.
So we can assure customers that they're drinking water that is safe, that no chemicals are entering the water supply, and just give that assurance.
Yeah,
those
well,
that ask.
it's safe to say that we don't detect an impact from the golf course.
Right, on the list.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Good. No, that is good news. It's across the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Any questions from the audience? Go ahead, Lori.
I had a question about that.
Just to this.
Yeah, just about.
Okay.
I had someone come and test some of my water. It came out of my faucet, my kitchen faucet. And,
I'm having a really tough time hearing you, Lori.
oh, sorry, Joe, is that better?
But keep talking and I'll let you know.
Okay, all right. I had my water tested privately by a company, and they found detections of both Alacor and Dinosab, which are both herbicides. So it's a little, and I'm just trying to understand how that would come up with a detection. Because in the annual water quality report, and based on what you're saying, we're not getting anything from the golf course.
Uh-huh.
Help me understand that?
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible. If you could send me the copy of that report, I'd be more than happy to show it to the laboratory and see if they can reconcile it or get a better understanding of what the lab saw.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be fine.
okay, yeah, because like I said, I'm looking at your reports, I'm looking at the county's reports. And, I had a few things tested and I'm getting different results, so.
So Lori, I haven't looked at my report for those two specific compounds. Are you saying that my report shows that they're negative, that we have no detections?
Yes,
Okay, so this is very interesting. I'd love to pursue this because,
Okay.
Technically, that should not occur. And of course, you're not sampling, how the sampling works. It's the day and the time you take the sample. But let's see if we can chase this down and see what's going on. It'd be interesting.
all right, yeah, I didn't test for everything, but I tested for a few things, but that was one of them.
Sure,
So when we get further down the list, there were some others.
sure, okay. All right,
And
so
if you
yeah,
could-
if you could send me the report, that'd be great.
If you could send a copy of that to West Neck Water, that would also be helpful.
Okay.
And this is, who knows what this is really, but the update on the PFAS regulations, we understand that they have been, according to the latest political machinations, been rolled back to 2031. So could you tell us, Joe, and I know that, or I understand that SQUA is dealing with the mitigation on a much more timely basis. So if you could just update us on that.
Right. So this is really convoluted for a lot of folks. I can sympathize with anybody that doesn't live in them and work in the water industry that has to try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, really.
Again, the history was New York State set an MCL back in 2020. I think it was 20 or 22 for PFOA and PFAS at 10 parts per trillion. And then New York State, subsequent to that, came up with an even more stringent standard. They were down in the 6 parts, and they were starting to regulate other compounds that are in the PFOA, PFAS family. Right around the time the Water Quality Council recommended those changes, the federal government proposed the 4-part per trillion standard for PFOA and PFAS, and then they used something called a hazard index for 6 other compounds. The Trump administration now has come in, and they have, I just met with the EPA director on Monday, and their direction right now is that nothing has changed. So they're saying that the regulations that were put forth by the Biden administration's EPA still are officially on the books, and they are still relevant. So that's 4 parts per trillion for PFOA and PFAS, and the hazard index for 6 other compounds. The Water Authority is pursuing it as if they are the rules, right? So that's really, we're not looking at New York State's or saying, well, the federal government doesn't know what it's doing, so we're just going to hold off. We're going forward with the 4-part regulation, and we're pretty much in compliance with that at this point now anyway. So that's really that's the rule of the day for us. Of course, legally it's still 10, and the 4 parts will not become law until the EPA mandated date. As you said, they pushed it out to 31.
Is it 27, right?
It was 20. Yeah, actually, I think they pushed it out to 29, Lisa.
Okay.
It was 27. I think they gave us 2 more years. But, again, I'm not really concerned about that date because I'm concerned about complying now.
Right. As we are.
Focused on. Yeah, and that's what we're focused on. So, I think you can pretty much just disregard all the noise, all the political wranglings about this stuff. And just so you know, New York State, before the end of the legislative session, there was a bill proposed that would have New York State adopt the very same regulations that the EPA may be wavering on, or whatever you want to say right now. So New York State is always trying to one up the EPA, and that's what they're going to do in the case of this. They're not going to sit by and let the EPA roll back the regulation and weaken the standard in their eyes. So I fully expect that when the legislature comes back into session and they start talking about some of these bills that were proposed late in the session, that's going to be one of them, and that they'll probably adopt it. So like I said, we're pursuing it as if it's law anyway, which gets us to the next point, and that is the installation of a GAC filter to address these compounds. And we're going to, at the same time, and I think we talked about this at the last meeting,
We did.
we're going to install a hydro tank because we've completely lost confidence in the hydro tanks that are there at the pump station. There, as you know,
Yeah.
there's at least one of them that's leaking and is out of service. There's another one that we suspect has a small leak on it. We had that problem with the piping that blew out over the winter and caused a tremendous inconvenience for everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in dual GAC filters, and these GAC filters are going to address everything, so the good news is that they'll address the PFOA and the PFAS, but Lori mentioned Alachlor, and I forget what the other one was, Dinosev or another compound. The filters would take that out also if that for some reason is in there.
Okay.
Plus anything else, they really, the granular activated carbon does a good job at removing quite a few compounds.
Do you have a
So,
schedule for this, Joe?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a schedule for this installation?
Okay, so we're currently working on the design for that. We have sent a set of drawings over to Joe Finora to take a look at the layout because, again, like, remember, the generator became a little bit of an issue because of where it was located and the setbacks on the property.
Right.
So we want Joe to take a look at it with building code I and Town of Shelter Island zoning I to make sure that we're in compliance with everything before we break ground on anything. Right now, we're looking to secure the hardware, the filters, and the hydro tank. So we're working on that right now. Some of these are a little longer lead item than they used to be because there's such a demand for them. A lot of the filters. Everybody's buying GAC filters now, so the lead times have gotten a little long. But we expect to have them relatively soon. Hopefully in the fall, we'll have possession of them, and hopefully we'll start construction over the late fall and winter and have this thing maybe finalized by early spring of next year.
Very good.
Everything is going to be above ground. Everything is going to be, it'll be basically an extension onto that building that's there now. And that will cover, the building will be extended and the filters will be under wraps, so to speak, under the building frame.
Just for the edification of the public, this is not going to be a financial addition. This is all covered under the surcharge.
Yeah, no, this is why this is not covered under the surcharge. This is covered by the Suffolk County Water Authority and its 400,000 other customers. This is why you folks, I believe, elected to sign an agreement with the Water Authority. Because
But we're not paying any additional fee for this, right?
No.
That's part of our service. I think it's important to clarify that there are no additional costs being incurred.
No additional costs. Yep. This is another capital improvement. And the agreement speaks to this as to all future capital improvements are borne by the Suffolk County Water Authority.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions? No. Okay.
And, obviously this would be significant cost. If you guys were to undertake all the capital improvements that we made so far and throw this on top of it, I suspect that you'd be screaming.
Well, we'd certainly have to raise our rates
Yeah.
substantially.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
so thanks. The next, unless anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, it's a question for you regarding the PFO and PFA detections.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, the water quality report, picked up detections ranging from 4 to 7 parts per trillion. And you're saying now we're under that compliance, which is great news. But I'm just trying to understand how those detections fluctuate and why. Could you explain that a little bit so that we can understand that?
Yeah, Lori, I wish I could explain it. And I'm not gonna pretend to be able to tell you because those same fluctuations that you see in the wells here on Shelter Island are the same kind of fluctuations we see on the mainland. I think what a lot of it has to do with is the levels that we're talking about. These are parts per trillion, and a part per trillion is extremely low. And when you're measuring at that level, slight changes in the gradients of groundwater flow and the concentrations of contaminants that are in the ground, you know, they'll be picked up by a test that's looking down to parts per trillion. So we have wells that, you know, they've got PFOA and PFOS in them. We'll put a filtration system in at the cost of $1 million or $1.5 million. We'll pump the well for 6 months, and the influent concentrations will go to zero. And then they'll come back up 2 months later. It is such a challenging compound to deal with. And in groundwater, where you have these little slugs of contamination that exist, and slight variations in concentrations, the test methods pick them up, and you see different numbers. So I wish I could tell you where it's coming from or what it is, but you know, it's like it's ubiquitous in the aquifer. We have it in so many wells. We have over 200 granular activated carbon systems in service now in the Water Authority service territory, and it's a challenge. And we're putting more in. We're not stopping.
It could be coming from wastewater intrusion, and so who knows from different households what the habits or the conditions are, which could also contribute to fluctuations.
Yes.
So, as you say, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere.
It really is. It really is.
Well, that was one of the other things that I tested for, and I did come up with detections, but those were in line with what your annual water quality report stated. So that one was in the same region of the numbers you already had.
And I'd like to remind everybody that the 2024 water quality report is actually reporting 2023 testing. If you recall, the report is always reporting for the prior year.
That's correct.
So unfortunately, it's the nature of the test, but what you're drinking is not necessarily a reflection of that report.
Well, the tests that I took at my house were 2024, and they were in the fall of 2024.
I'm talking,
They were
yeah.
in line with that water quality report from the previous year.
Right. Okay. Just wanted
Just to be clear. So, and I also tested for nitrates, and that also came in line with what was reported on that water quality report. So those two, the only one that was different, as I said, were the herbicides and pesticides, which showed detections. We understood. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is securing the well area. We've got quite a wider, visually, well area than we have had previous to the new well installations. And I know that we've talked about it on the Water Advisory Committee, and I know that Councilwoman Meg Larson brought it up about securing wellhead areas. There is a visual going on that disturbs me. I brought it up and I've been told, well, it really has no impact on the well site, but that is that the golf course, for whatever reason, chooses to put their porta potty over the well area.
Ooh.
Now, I know, I've been told there's no infiltration of septic into the well from the porta potty. And I say, okay, but if a hurricane comes and that thing goes over, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. So I think that it's going to be a matter of the town pressing the golf course. Please move that porta potty. Why it has to be over the well area, I don't know. So who wants to take up this crusade? Because I have tried to, all right. Thank you, Amber. Anyway, Joe, what's going forward, the process, and what are the recommendations to protecting that well area? Is it necessary? I think it is, but I will defer to your opinion.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the health department is going to be the one that's going to call the shots on this. I'm a little surprised that Dave Mullen hasn't brought it up during any of his sanitary inspections. But I think that a lot of times they look at the big picture and they say, you've done so much here or there, and we'll we'll lay off on you at this point. I'm sure it's going to come up at some point. You know, what I would expect for those wells across the street, the biggest concern that I would have, you know, because it's a golf course and there's no development or anything going on around, you know, the wells themselves there. There's no chemical storage. You know, the porta potty concerns me like it concerns you. I'd like to see it moved also. But the biggest concern is really just somebody tampering with the wells.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, so that is something that we should address. We will address it. I mean, it's not going to be the most visually appealing thing because it's probably going to be a chain link fence that goes around the wells in some shape or form. I mean, we might be able to make a cage of some kind that goes over it so that it's not huge, but we'll do something like that. I believe we've done it over in Daring Harbor, because in Daring Harbor we put 2 wells in for them also, and they're up on Monantic Road away from the pump station.
Okay.
I think we put cages over them. I'll take a look and see what we did.
I think that one of the concerns for me, Joe, is the accessibility. It's next to a road,
Yeah.
2 roads. It's at an intersection. So the visual accessibility concerns me. And, you know, we say, well, we live on Shelter Island. Nothing happens until it does.
Exactly.
So protecting that area is of vital interest to us.
Yeah. I mean, the wells, just so we all know, I mean, there's submersible wells. There's no easy way to get into there. Somebody that wants, you know, if somebody wants to tamper with them, they need to know what they're doing.
Right.
You know, it would be hard for an amateur to go over there and tamper with them, but somebody that has an agenda and wants to do something bad could do it. So, I'll have the engineers work on some type of screen or cage that we can put around it to provide, more security.
Yes, and perhaps we could talk with the town, and if there is a hard fencing option, then maybe there's a way of softening it with plantings, a hedge. It doesn't have to be that's we look at a chain link fence. There are other possibilities, and maybe the town will consider plantings.
All right, I'll talk with Joe about it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions with regards to this?
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of story deep in the last paragraph. It will be mentioned, it was brought up on July 11th, 2025, and nobody got too excited. So,
Yeah.
if you have, any kind of thought, and I'm not even thinking a terrorist, but a prankster, something silly, somebody, drives into the porta potty, somebody who might even know what they're doing, Joe.
Sure.
One of your disgruntled employees. So I think that it should be addressed. And it should be addressed soon, and then we don't have to think about it anymore. It is the water supply.
Sure. No, I don't disagree with you, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave it to you and your
I'll put my engineers on it, and
engineers.
I'll have a talk with Joe to see what we can do to, provide some type of barrier,
Right.
Around the whole area.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns with that? No? All right, and that pretty much, the Source Water Protection Program. I'm not really sure why I wrote that down. It's a distinct program, and you are aware of it. Could you elaborate on that? Because that's sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think the items E through G are really all kind of related together. So source water protection, if you picture an upstate reservoir that serves New York City, and the concern about the water that feeds that reservoir, you would go around and you would look at all the places where there are little tributaries that run into the creeks that run into the reservoir, and you would make sure that there was no source of contamination that feeds those creeks and rivers that feed the reservoir. We don't really think in those terms here on Long Island because the water's beneath our feet. So people don't really think in terms of source water protection. But the good news is that more and more people are thinking about this, because while the water is beneath our feet and we're drawing the water out from wells, there are what are called contributing areas. There are areas that are more sensitive to the recharge of a well than others. So years ago, the county health department, in combination with the Suffolk County Water Authority, and I forget who the third party was, but they undertook an analysis of all the wells in Suffolk County, all the public supply wells, and where the water comes from that feeds them. And they engaged a consultant, and the consultant developed a series of maps. And while the maps are confidential because the source water is kind of a sensitive information, the maps show where the water that lands on the ground, the rainwater that lands on the ground, where that area of ground is. And because not all land contributes to the recharge of a particular well. There are areas that they've used computer models to identify. And so those areas have been identified, and now the planners in the town and the county and entities like the Water Authority, when we see development and applications for development, and we're made aware of applications for development, if they are going to occur in the zone of contribution or the source water area for a well, we then try to address that by commenting on and trying to modify the development so that it doesn't risk contaminating the source water for a well. So
And it's good for a municipality to understand.
it's good. And New York State made money available, and I think it's still available through a source water protection grant program. And I'm actually working with the town of Southold right now. They're developing their own source water protection program. And it's just about finished, actually. The first draft of the plan has been produced. And the state has made grant money available for entities that want to do this for their own water systems. So if you were real interested in it, you could probably engage the state. You can check on this. It's called the DWSP 2 program, Drinking Water Source Protection 2. I'm not sure why it's 2, but they do a pretty good job. They look closely at your wells. Now, Shelter Island doesn't have a lot of public supply wells. You got the ones that we operate. You got the ones that we operate in Daring Harbor, and then Shelter Island Heights has a couple of wells. So those would be the ones that would be analyzed. But I think that they would look at a lot of other stuff that goes on in the town that you guys might be interested in, like road salt application and where there might be potential industrial sites that could contaminate the aquifer. It's more of a holistic view of the water supply in the aquifer. But it's certainly something you might want to check into to see. And they would, if you were successful with the grant, they would basically develop a source water protection program for the island.
That's very good to know.
Yeah, it's
Very good.
interesting. Yep.
Okay, thank you for
Sure.
clarifying and describing that program. That's great. It's really not under your report, but the next item on the agenda is applications. And we have had people interested in expanding the district. Now that we understand we can ask those people to make application, West Neck Water District always handled the applications through the building department. However, when I went to the building department, they didn't really have any record of applications. So in discussion with you, it was decided that Suffolk County Water Authority would handle the applications for the district, which is wonderful because you can do it online.
Yeah.
And you have the ability to expedite and know locations, et cetera. The only thing that I would request is that the town, through the West Neck Water District, would be privy to that we would have correspondence and applications on record, so we know where they're being made. I've let the people who wanted to be on the district know that that's the step that they needed to take, is go to Suffolk County Water Authority and make application. Questions?
No, I know that
Yes.
that was popping up before, but it seems like there's a reason, and, yeah.
Any questions from the audience?
So have applications been formally made?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't
this
know
is
if
all
they,
interesting stuff, and we keep talking about it all the time, but there doesn't seem to be much progress, and we don't really know whether this thing is going forward or not. So, Joe, now that you're handling it, do you have applications in hand from West Neck people?
The only one that I know of right now, and we're talking to those folks right now, I think is the Bloom family there. That subdivision of their lots and connections, and you folks have indicated that you were okay with them connecting up.
correct.
Go ahead.
So there were two more potential customers. I've let them know that this is now the process, so sort of the ball's in their court
Sure.
if they want to connect.
Yeah. Well, right now, as far as I know, the only people that we've heard from are Bloom.
Okay,
And that involved 3 connections. There were 2 on West Neck Road and 1 out on
Manantic,
Manantic. What's the
Right.
name of it?
Manantic.
Manantic. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it mixed up with Manhasset or Manhasset over in Daring Harbor. But yeah,
Yes, well, we get our roads mixed up too.
But yeah, so as far as I know, those are the only 3 that we're talking to right now. And
You're talking to, so is this a plan, Joe, where you take them as they come? Or are you open for applications, every December 1st or?
no,
What do you do?
it's an ongoing thing, Bob. It's open all the time. So if you want to make an application, you can make an application anytime. It's just that in the case of West Neck, if I receive an application that is out of the blue that I'm not familiar with, that we haven't spoken about, and that I know that you folks are okay with, then I would bring that to you and the town and say, do you want to see these folks connected?
Okay. If there's no more discussion on that, I'm going to go to rules and regulations. So thank you, Joe, for your time. If there's any other issues or anything coming up that we should know about,
I'll be sure to let you
hey,
know.
Lori?
I have another question for Joe before he leaves.
Sure.
Is he leaving?
Yeah, yes, he is. I'm going to let him go.
Joe, I just wanted to ask, I've seen several letters and reports on cybersecurity and cybersecurity measures. Now that the West Neck water system is all online, what protections do we have in place for cybersecurity? And is that something that you are changing or expanding based on the last 6 months of documentation that has come out?
So, Lori, so cybersecurity is, we could talk about it for a long time, but it's something that is super high on our priority list. It's really a very, very involved topic. I mean, we have the Water Authority, as you know, I mean, we're one of the largest water utilities in the country. So when we talk to regulators about cybersecurity, they know we have a 30-person IT department that is, working on all kinds of IT work, and we have people that are just dedicated to handling cybersecurity. It's not a point in time, it's a continuum. You're never done. And maybe Amber has a good understanding of this because you're running a town and you've got an IT group and whatnot and a relatively large IT infrastructure. But it's not something that you're ever done with. It's just continuous. And we're involved in, the ISACs, which are the information sharing organizations for water, so that we know what's going on. We routinely do tests of our system. Again, most of this stuff is kind of confidential. We don't really talk much about it, but again, we're subject to regulations. In fact, New York State just started work on regulations. The governor has asked the health department and the DEC to develop standards for IT security and cybersecurity for water and wastewater systems. The Water Authority is kind of like at the top of the list. We're when we talk to our regulators, again, they look at us, they say, we're not worried about you. We're worried about the small water districts that don't have the resources or the time. Some of these water districts are run by 1 and 2 people. They're not IT experts, and they don't. A lot of them share things like sharing passwords and basic stuff like that. All I can tell you is that we are about as keyed into cybersecurity as is possible. It's a daily exercise for us, and we have people that are dedicated to it, and it's never over because these folks are constantly knocking at the door. We can tell. We know when they're knocking at the door because our systems tell us that. But you can be assured that we have the infrastructure in place and the protections in place that are minimizing it to the greatest extent possible. Listen, all they have to do is get lucky once to get in somehow, but I think that we're pretty well locked down to prevent that, especially, and I say especially when it comes to our SCADA system and the controls that we have, the physical controls over the water system. That stuff is really well encrypted and very, very secure. We have there's more to cybersecurity than just that too. There's our whole business network that runs our infrastructure, that handles our billing and our inventory. All of that stuff could upset our business also, and maybe even in a bigger way than the water system, because we can throw things into manual control and disconnect from the internet and run our system the way it used to be run 30 years ago with pressure switches and level switches, which we still have in case there was a complete failure of the automated system. So all I can tell you is to rest assured we're on top of that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Actually, the next item, it does have, I would like you to hear a little bit about it.
Sure.
Currently, we have rules and regulations that were made many, many years ago. They haven't been updated. They're on our webpage, and they are probably obsolete and no longer relevant given our new system. So I'm not sure, and the board really hasn't had a chance to look it over, and I'm going to just open this up. I'm not sure if these regulations are pertinent and if we should maintain them. I'm just saying. I've looked through them, and there's really nothing not nothing. There's very little here that, first of all, is enforceable. Second of all, it's obsolete material. So I think what I would do is ask the board to look through these rules and regulations, see if you understand what they state. And Joe, if you could peruse them or get someone from your team to peruse them and see if this is, if this is a useful document to maintain. I don't think it is at this point, because I think we fall under the auspices of your rules and regulations. The one item that does constantly get brought up is that we are more conservative about our irrigation according to this document. However, we have never enforced it, or what's in here is with regards to irrigation. We don't have an enforceable body except the town, which sometimes it has gone to the building department and they have tried to enforce irrigation clauses, but I don't think they've been very successful. So just saying that, I don't know, it's on our website, but I don't know about the validity of it.
Well, it's great that you bring that up. And I'm just perusing the agreement here. I believe that our agreement with the town states that you're going to follow the Suffolk County Water Authority's rules and regulations. Typically says that in most of our agreements. I don't see it.
I don't have that in front of me, but
Yeah,
I'll
here we
look.
go. Any miscellaneous fees bill, the SQA agrees that it will not establish fees. References our rules and regulations there, but that's just about fees. I'd have to take a look, but like I said, in most of our management agreements, it basically says that the rules and regulations of the Suffolk County Water Authority apply. Now, you bring up a really good point in that you have much more aggressive language. I was under the impression, I thought I looked at that at one point and saw it, about things like irrigation and conservation. And I would never want to suggest that you throw that out and disregard that. I'm kind of hanging my hat on the fact that you folks are carefully. I just got a message that we did receive the payment. Stephanie just got back to me. We did receive the DASNY grant.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, I would not want to see you do anything to water that down, so to speak. No pun intended. Because
Well, I'm gonna
with the
throw
size of your system, with the capacity and the size of the West Neck system, it's not built to irrigate water, and water lawns the way a system does on the mainland. The system right now, you don't even have fire protection, and that's because the system is not capable of providing fire protection. So I'd be careful, with what you do to the rules and regulations. If you like, if you have a recent copy, I think it was on your website.
It's on our webpage.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and see. I mean, my
If
feeling
you
is
could just
most of it-
redline it
Yeah.
and let us know, okay, this, just chuck this and keep this, then we can redraft them. But I think that, most of the information right now is not
Yeah.
pertinent.
Yeah, I see section 5.3, paragraph 5.3F. It says, provide customer service in accordance with the level of service provided to all customers and in accordance with the rules and regulations. I think that it basically, our rules and regulations really prevail.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of this is redundant, say, for example, the backflow prevention, et
Right.
cetera.
Well, yeah, you're operating under the Suffolk County Water Authority's backflow prevention program at this
Yeah.
point.
All right, yeah, if by the next meeting, we could just go through it again, redline it, say,
I'll
okay,
take
this,
a look at it. Yep.
you can find this in our rules and regulations, page whatever. The only other thing I would contribute to the conversation is that currently, and I'll defer to Meg or Amber on this, the Shelter Island Town irrigation laws in the code, I'm not sure if they've been changed or if they're being worked on. And if they are as stringent as ours, if the new language is as conservative as ours, because I think they're trying to build the conservancy in.
Yeah, it hasn't been finalized yet. It's still a work in progress, the irrigation code, but we are working on it. It just hasn't been moving forward as quickly as some of the other codes we're working on.
Okay.
We're doing wetlands and site plan kind of before we get to the irrigation, just because those are something that we deal with on a very regular basis.
Uh-huh.
So we're trying to get those cleaned up.
Okay, so who can I sit down with that I could go through this with someone from the committee and just say,
Yeah.
are you as conservative as we are? And how we can take what we have in these rules and regulations and put them to the new town rules and regulations, thereby just making this document unnecessary.
Yeah. I'll email you the group.
Great.
I'll link you.
I mean, I know who the group is,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
I
could
think
probably
Peter
just-
Grant's kind of like in the head of it, so if you wanna reach out to Peter.
I'll reach out.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we did a major renovation to our rules and regulations. The document was old, and we brought it up to current standards for a modern document not too long ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, and that it's now available on our website.
Okay,
So if you want to see what our current rules and regulations look like, the verbiage hasn't changed an awful lot, but the document is just a lot more easy to read and better laid out. And just so you know, also, the town of Southold, I believe, within a matter of days, is about to announce new water conservation measures of some kind.
That's
That
good to know.
Alprovsky is very excited about and has been talking about for a while. So they have a water advisory committee in Southold, and I think they came up with some recommendations, and I think they're going to make it law in Southold.
great. We'll definitely look that up.
Take a look and see.
I'll refer our WAC to do that. That'd be good for.
Yeah, that might be a way to do it. Then it doesn't have to be spoken about in your regulations at all. You won't have to maintain that. If the town wants to adopt a code of some kind, that would be great.
Enforcement is always the issue.
It is. It's the same thing with us. We have an odd even policy on the books that that's part of our rules and regulations, but we don't have a police force that works for us.
Yeah.
And we don't go out at 2:00 in the morning and look for people that are violating and knocking on their door or shutting them off. We're looking for voluntary cooperation with it, but enforcement has always been the issue.
Mm-hmm. And you'll always have a couple of poor actors.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
assumption,
No,
most people will follow it, but
it's a challenge. There have been times when we had a really, really bad summer, and there were specific areas. It's not always problematic everywhere. There's some places that are bigger water users than others, and some places where the capacity is not as high as it is in other areas. And we've gone around and knocked on doors. We actually have done it, but that's not something that we do routinely.
okay. And we seem to have a pretty good summer with regards to precipitation. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the drought status is, but I don't think it's,
Yeah, I don't think we're in drought. I saw
Moderate,
something
maybe.
recently that showed that Eastern Long Island was not in drought.
Hmm.
And we are getting rain, so it's good. I think I've told you before. It's always nice to get rain every couple of days during the summer
right.
to just kind of keep things wet, continue to recharge the aquifer. And then, maybe not relevant with you folks as much, but people irrigate. The hotter it gets and the drier it gets, the more people irrigate. And that puts a big strain on the system.
All right, Joe, thank you. I think that's, unless anyone has any other questions, that's it for your report, and you can go, and we'll
Okay,
just do our survey.
And again, Lori, you have my email address. Please send me those test results.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see them too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
I'll see you soon.
The next item on the agenda is the online customer survey.
Mhm.
You remember that survey that we hashed over that,
Filled it out, sent it in, right?
Yeah.
did you do it online?
Yeah,
Okay, great. So did I.
it was easy.
It was quick.
Mhm.
So
I think I filled it out just recently too.
I have two questions
Okay.
for Meg. Number one is, where do the results go?
In your SharePoint, in an Excel spreadsheet. So Kevin helped me set that up, I wanna say 2-3 days ago.
Okay,
So now if you go into the West Neck Water District SharePoint,
Yep.
there's an Excel spreadsheet and it says, I believe, customer satisfaction survey.
Mhm.
And that spreadsheet has all of the results from the survey.
Great. Okay, well, I know two of us have done it. I have done it and Bob did it, so
Well, I think I did it too. I guess.
Donna may have done
The
it.
same, right?
Yes, I was pulling it up.
And I haven't checked with Wendy, but I think she probably has filled it out as well.
Yes, I guess.
So we're ready to go public with that, you think, Bob? Send it out to customers. I thought it was,
I thought it was very good.
and thank you, Meg, for streamlining it and getting it up there,
It was
making it
good.
very
It was very
simple.
complete. I think you really touched the bases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show
Here it
it
is, I
on the
did it.
screen so you can
Yes,
see what we're talking
certainly.
about?
Let's look at it. Now, what is the process now?
So if we get everybody's emails, okay. So when we get everybody's emails, we'll send them an invite to do the survey. So the invite will look like this. You just click the Start Now button and that will open the survey.
Yeah.
Let me just open a new window. So the survey, once you get into it,
I did it too.
You did, good. So now we have 3 responses.
and we have the 4th response, which is my test response, and Jess's test response. which
Oh,
Make
okay.
sure it's working right. But those we can delete because they're not necessary.
They're not real.
Yeah, they're fake. So here's the survey as you get started. As soon as it shows, is it sharing? There it goes, okay. So, it just has a little introduction to the survey, and it's broken down into sections, so it starts with quality. As basic questions, are you concerned about the safety of your drinking water? Do you drink your tap water? And then, do you use water filtration system? And in all the other categories, you can type in a longer answer. And then how would you rate your water quality for the following? And it has taste, odor, color, pressure, and then from excellent to poor. And then service, have you ever experienced a service disruption? And you can put a description if you have. Was the disruption scheduled? Have you received notification? Was it solved in a timely manner? Then how would you rate your experience with customer service? And then it goes into billing, and do you understand how the information on your water bill? Do you have difficulty paying for your service? And then there are some open-ended questions that people can answer. So what, if any, improvements could be made to the billing process? Will the rate increase greatly impact your ability to pay your bills? And then there's a section about Temetra, which is the meter reading. Have you had difficulty navigating the site? Do you want assistance trying to navigate the site? And then there's a section on water conservation. So are you concerned about water conservation? Do you regularly have taps, hose bibs, or water connections inspected for leaks? Do you have any additional concerns about water conservation? And do you have any additional comments concerning Suffolk County Water Authority's management of the district? And those are all like longer answers that can be typed in. And then the last one is more an informational question, so to speak, in order to get the information in there, I had to make it as a question. So it just talks about all of the different credits that are available through Suffolk County Water Authority. So there's the smart irrigation controllers, rain sensors, EPA WaterSense low flow shower heads, faucet aerators, smart service leak detecting valves, solar pool covers, pressure regulators, and rain barrels. There's credits for all of those things. And then you can always print a copy of your answers after you submit them, and then you submit them and they automatically get sent to the West Neck Water District, and then they can put all the answers together and figure out what the public needs.
I thought the Temetra was on, not that everything else was, but up until that time, complete confusion.
I know, Temetra's, it can be confusing. Okay, thank you, Meg. I believe that this is, you could take some of this online survey and use it and island-wide.
Mhm.
And, if the WAC or the town wanted to, through the Water Advisory Committee at any point, create just a survey for the island in general, I think it could be very useful to get feedback in this way. So the customer emails, do you want me to get them from Suffolk County Water Authority? Because I think they've undertaken to update all of the emails, because I don't know that we have them through the town here.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we
So if they
do.
can provide you with the emails, then we can send out an email blast to all the customers.
Okay. And what I believe is good for everyone to know is that it isn't just Suffolk County Water Authority that provides rebates, or that can provide rebates, but if the town wanted to undertake to provide rebates for smart water devices, that could also be useful, just useful information. So as soon as we do that, then you send that, Meg? Is that how it's gonna work, or do you want?
Yeah, I can send it out.
You can send
I
it?
shared it with Jess, so Jess should be able to access it, but if for some reason she can't, then we'll work together and make it happen.
Thank you very much for getting all of this. And I think now's a good time because people are here in the district, so they're more apt to fill it out than if they're in Florida and not thinking about their water. So I think that this is really a good time to just encourage people to fill it out.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna erase the data that's in here, so if you two
Yeah.
have filled it out as a test, you'll have to put it in as a regular.
Well,
For
in-
real.
yeah, the first three, I believe, are not legitimate responses, but the last two are.
Oh, okay.
So,
So if you know that,
yeah,
okay, 'cause I see the
I know which
dates,
ones were
June
test
5th,
responses.
July
Yeah.
3rd.
Yeah,
And there's no personal information on this
Correct.
test.
it's
So
anonymous.
it's completely anonymous. Nobody's gonna do any data gathering.
Correct. And in the responses, when we get the data, and I'll share my screen again just so you can see. So it pops up there. Okay, you'll see that where it says the email address, it comes up as anonymous. So it doesn't log the email address with the responses.
That's great.
So there is no, individual information attached to the responses. So it is anonymous.
Fabulous. Yeah, hopefully we'll get responses. That's what we
Yeah.
hope for.
That would be great.
Do you have any other questions? Do you have anything you wanna? I'm done with.
No, this brought up, I think, a lot of interesting issues, including the relevance of this committee. I mean, as Joe said, I'm the decider. Well, cool, then decide and get some stuff done. But just what we do here, are we an adjunct to the town board, which would be great. To them, a watchdog group.
I think that's
It's
what
really
we are.
not clear to me why we're here now, and certainly the whole issue of enforcement, and nobody's gonna solve that. But we can certainly be judges. I think that's a good role.
I have to say too, I think what you brought up, things that people don't think about, pool covers, pressure, right? Things like that are, what you put into this, which was.
You mean for the
very relevant
rebates?
because- Yeah,
Yeah. Well, okay, so yeah, going back to what you're saying, Bob, is what is the relevance of the,
Yeah, I mean, and
The
you,
board.
you brought it up with discussing this, in fact, that cracked it all wide open.
yeah,
And that customer survey, which I thought was really terrific. It was, it got to almost everything. Whose function really is that? It seemed like an added burden for you guys. Is that something we should have done, or the deciders? And I didn't find their response to the security of the wells. It's a joke. But if the porta potty was pushed down by some, preppy pranksters, some August, well, we did talk about it. Right?
yeah.
But we didn't do
I
it.
did nothing about it.
Well, we're gonna move that porta potty. That's getting moved, okay? And I've been at that for 2 years now. And I was told that it wasn't a problem, in fact. So, but now, I mean, it is. I think we all agree that it does. And it's not just a visual problem, but it can present a real.
It's not a problem
physical
until
issue.
that Texas River overflows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going back to the purpose of this board, when we went through the agreement, my anecdotal memory of the discussion and relevance of the board was that we needed to have an interface with SQUA, that the town needed it, and we were that interface. Also, Joe is ultimately sort of the manager of what happens in some regard, but he does defer to the town. He's just a manager of the body that we have a management agreement with. He isn't the manager of the physical plant itself. The town still owns and, owns that. We're just sort of hired them to oversee it. So the town is still very much, this is still the town's entity. It's still municipal water supply. So I think that we are still relevant in that we make those decisions.
Well, in our attachment to the town.
Yeah, yeah. And the survey, I mean, that we talked about that. It started with us.
I was gonna say, Lisa gave me the outline for that survey, and then I just made it in the
Right.
form.
And we decided on what was gonna go in it. So it did start with us. So we have a role.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Also, the rate setting,
Right.
the recommendation will come from you on what to do about setting the rates.
Because we pay the bills.
Yes.
And I think that what we've always tried to do, and Amber knows this, we all know this, we are trying very hard to make sure we don't have to raise the rates. We're doing everything we can, to interface with their billing department, and we have the grant. We're just trying to protect.
Yeah,
That-
you and I went through the bills and,
Yeah.
scoured them to make sure that's why we found a couple of adjustments, so.
Making sure everybody's paying their fair share. So I think there is definitely still a role for this board. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I don't have anything any business. I don't have any new business to add, unless there's something that somebody else wants to add, talk about. Lori?
Yeah, the last thing that I'd like to talk about is the West Bank water records. A few months ago, I came in, I did a FOIL to review more West Bank water records. And there is absolutely nothing in the town clerk's files or on SharePoint for the last 3 years. So
What are you looking for?
I was looking for everything that's happened. I mean, there's letters that come from the DEC, there's letters that come from the county, there's correspondence that goes back and forth. But even the last FOIL that I just sent to Joe Fenora on something, Joe came back and said he has no records at all. So I don't know where these letters and the emails and reports and different things that come, but I know there's a lot of them, because there's a conservation report, there's all kinds of things that come and get done, and they send the town notices. But I couldn't find anything, the town clerk didn't have anything.
Are you sure these aren't going through SQUA?
Not everything goes through SQUA, because the letters still come to the town. So, but there's absolutely nothing in the town clerk's files. So I don't know where we are with that, that's really a question, I guess, for the liaisons, because we've actually, you and Amber, you and I have talked about this before in the last couple of years. I've met with you a few times, but there's still nothing, she doesn't have anything. So when somebody does send a FOIL request in, the response back is the town has no records of anything.
I think if you could, and I think I've asked you this before, we've had this discussion before, if you could itemize what you're looking for,
Well, it is itemized, including with a date range of what I'm looking for. So, and I.
yeah, but I mean, can you send it to me?
Can I send it to you?
Send it to me, I'm assuming you sent it to the town clerk.
Send it to the town clerk, because that's what.
I wasn't CC'd on it though. so-
No, because the town clerk, it's her, she's the FOIL officer for the town.
Well, just send it to me, so we can see what you're looking for, and if it exists within our purview, or if it's something that,
Even in the Suffolk County Water Authority agreement, the 40-year agreement, it says the town, that they're meant to send the town certain records. So, I mean, somebody's gotta be maintaining them. The question is, who? And is it in different people's emails and it just doesn't get to the town clerk's files? I don't know. So
without knowing what it is, I don't know either. I can't answer that
Well,
question.
everything, because there's nothing in the files for the last 3 years. So, since Suffolk County Water Authority took over. So, anyway, but sometimes it's very frustrating because then I get the finger pointing, not from you guys, because but the finger pointing starts that, well, I don't have it, maybe the health department has it, or I don't have it, maybe Suffolk County Water Authority has it. So, I mean, that's the response I get, and then I end up chasing 2 or 3 different entities around looking for the information I'm looking for, so, it's not easy to try and collect that information. So I just don't understand as a town entity, why the town doesn't have anything on West Neck Water.
I think Suffolk County Water Authority is handling everything. I don't know if correspondence
They're
is
your
coming to us.
manager, so, but there still should be records.
And they would have them. I mean, I'm not aware of anything that comes to us. I think everything goes to them.
Yeah, I'm not aware, I don't get anything except, I don't. I know what is relevant to the district with regards to the checking accounts, and occasionally I'll get something from the health department, but
So
Not so much
where's
anymore.
all the correspondence to and from the Suffolk County Water Authority and the town, or West Neck Water Board, or you?
What kind of correspondence are you?
I don't know.
Whatever letters that come and go, whatever emails that come and go.
The only correspondence I've had is on the financial, billing, some questions that we have with respect to the calculations on certain customers.
Well, I just got a FOIL last week, and there was a letter that was written to you, I got it. But, so there is stuff out there that comes. But I'm just saying the town clerk has nothing, and that is a little disconcerting to me, because
all right, well, why
I
don't,
guess that's the question is what.
we'll talk about it. Amber, you and I will talk about this. See, I'm not sure that everything is privy to open information either. I mean, I think that we have to even go over that.
Correspondence definitely is, lab reports definitely is, all these records, that, a lot of it is.
Well, the lab reports would be from Suffolk County Water Authority. That would be their purview, not ours.
But Suffolk County Water Authority doesn't take all the lab samples, some of it comes from the county. So the county would be sending those to somebody, because the county takes their own samples.
Well, they would be sending them to Suffolk County Water Authority, not to the district, not to us.
That's not my understanding from the county.
I've never had them. They're not sent to me. So, again, if you could just,
Maybe they're sent to Joe, I don't know, that's the question, really. Because, it's the town-owned water
Well, it's
system.
something that we'll have to look into, because we obviously don't have the answer right now.
Well, I know, but
You know,
my
it's a
frustration
good
maybe
question.
is a question that I've been asking for 3 years. And whenever I can come to a meeting in person, I ask the same question again. Is it gonna be another 3 years before we get any answers or get the records up?
If we're not getting them, we can't provide them, and it's not our duty to go searching or create something in a FOIL request. To go to the county and say, oh, can you send us some, I'm not
But I know that the county is sending them to you, that's my issue.
I don't know. If that's-
well, again, okay, just because I'd like to end in a timely manner, why don't you send what you've sent for FOIL requests so we can see what you're talking about, because I really don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say the last 3 years of correspondence.
Well, send us the latest.
We can ask you.
What's that?
We can get it from you.
Okay, so that you don't even have to send that. All right,
But, Amber calls me in or sent me an email, she's like, I'm really sorry, but she says everyone says that they don't have any information. The last one was Joe.
okay, we'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? No? Anything from the Zoom audience? Well, if that's it, I'd like to move to end the,
Well, executive session.
yes, that's right, we do, you want to take that up. So we will go into executive session right now. So, thank you, everybody, for coming, Laurie, for coming. And we'll end the public part of this meeting.
A person, personnel issue.